Hello guys, the build is pretty strong already. We already hit 15k energy shield, which is a lot of energy shield, and we already hit 1000 intelligence and almost 1.2 thousand strength. So I'm gonna show you the changes we've made, the upgrades, and all of that. Let's start with the equipment. As you can see, I already got my 6 link, and I'm gonna show you the links. I'm still using Lancing Seal of Spraying since it's a really good triggering skill for cast and crit. Of course, I'm using cast and crit, and I upgraded to the Awakened version since this one has cooldown recovery rate, which is really good since cast and crit scales with CDR, so this will allow us to cast more spells per second since we already have a lot of attack speed. I'm also using Cruelty support, and this just gives us a flat extra damage, and it's a really nice thing to have. My spell of choice is Ice Spear of Splitting. This is a really good overall skill. It has really good clear, and it also has really nice single target. Also, I'm using increased critical damage support. This is really important. This buffed my damage almost by 2 times. I went from 400,000 DPS all the way to 800 when I sucked at this. So if you're not using it, use it. Since we're scaling crit chance, this is really important to have. And of course, I'm using Spellblade. Since we're scaling energy shields, this is just gonna give us a whole lot of damage. And as you may notice, I dropped increased critical strikes from the skill since we don't need it anymore. If you watched my last video, you know that we picked the Farrell's Ascendancy, which gives us around 125% crit chance, and also we scale crit chance with our attributes. So with those two things, we already hit around 96% crit chance without the support. So I dropped it, I used Cruelty instead, and it's like a huge buff to our damage. I also bought a new ring, which is this one. This is basically the same ring as this one. It's just stats, energy shield, life, and it's an amethyst base, so it gives us chaos resistance. I also bought a new Astramentis with a max roll, which is just a really nice thing to have. It was around 3 divine, I think, so if you can afford it, buy it. It's just extra attributes, which is what we like in this build. And I also bought a new crown of the inward eye with a max roll. Same thing with Astramentis, not completely necessary, but if you can afford it, it's a really nice thing to have. Also, Socketed here, I have enhanced support. This is one of the biggest upgrades you can get for Energy Blade, since Energy Blade scales with quality. Every 4% quality you add, it's gonna give back a little bit of the energy shield it takes from you. So the more quality, the better Energy Blade. And Enhance gives us a flat 24% quality, which is crazy. If you can get this, I think it was 4 divine for me. So if you can get this, buy it, socket it together with Energy Blade, and it's gonna give you a bit of extra energy shield. This bumped my energy shield all the way from 14k to 15k. So that's a lot of energy shield, which translates to a lot of damage in our case. Also, as you may notice, I have this new belt. This belt is really similar to the one we had, but it has a flat roll of strength. This is just a really nice thing to have. It's just a bump to our attributes, and that's the thing that we like. There's still a better version of this belt that I'm gonna craft eventually, which has the same things, but it also has a roll of int, but that's really expensive to craft, so I'm gonna hold on for now. I'm gonna get more money, and then we're gonna craft that. Also, when it comes to the belt, as you can see, this one is a Stygian Vice, so it has an Abyss Jewel. Same thing with my Energy Blade. If I take this off, this one has the modifier, has 1 abyssal socket, and these are really cheap on the market. This was like 5 chaos or something, so if you can buy it, it's just an extra abyssal socket, and you can put anything you want here. I'm using an abyssal jewel with strength, intelligence, energy shield, life, and the same goes for this one. Now for the crafts. Last time I was using a wool graft for the endurance charges, and I'm still using the same one here, but now this one has 14% increase maximum life. These tend to be a bit expensive, so if you can afford it, get it, since 14% life is a lot. I'm also using another Woolgraft. I don't really care about the ability on this one, I just care about the maximum life. So with these two, I'm already getting 29% increased maximum life, which is a huge amount of life. So if you can afford these, buy them. They're gonna increase your energy shield by a lot, and by default, that also means more damage. So if you can get these, they're really nice, and they just give you a bunch of life for free. Also, as you can see here, I'm still using a bunch of auras, but I added two more, which is vitality and clarity. The reason I added these is because I still had around 400 life, and I don't really need life. I just need enough to be able to cast my skills, and that's it. So I added these two to chip down a little bit more on my life, since every 100 life that we reserve, we get an extra 32 maximum energy shield, and that gets scaled by all the other things that we're stacking right now. So I added these two just to chip down a little bit more on my life and get a little bit extra energy shield. Now for the passive tree. I bought a new timeless jewel, which gives me onslaught every time I kill something, and it also gives me maximum life here. I'm also using this jewel, which transforms dexterity in radius for strength, and also gives us 24 passive strength. So with this plus this, we're getting 54 strength just from this jewel. And the most important thing on the tree is this. I got a new cluster jewel, which gives us increased lightning damage, elemental resistances, energy shield, and strength. And of course, has two jewel sockets. Here, I'm using two split personalities with intelligence plus life and strength plus life. What these do is that they give you this base stat buff based on the distance it has traveled from the starting point. So as you can see, this orange line here shows how far away the split personalities are from the starting point of your class. And these are giving me 63 strength and 63 life. And the same for this, but intelligence instead of strength. I also changed my anoint from the extra endurance charge for this. This is just a plain life buff and a bit of strength, and I figured I needed this more than I needed an extra endurance charge, so this is not mandatory. If you want, you can anoint this one, or you can keep using an extra endurance charge. I just really prefer this one, so that's just a personal preference. I also have some plans for the near future, which involve some new jewels that I want to introduce to the build. I've been tinkering around in PoE, and they seem to be pretty strong. I still need some money and some levels to add them to the build, so I'm gonna hold on for now. I'm probably gonna make a video dedicated to that because those changes are really big, so stay tuned for that because it's gonna be a massive change. So all of that together adds up to this 15,000 energy shield. I think in the last update I had 8,000 energy shield, so we almost duplicated our energy shield. We got 7,000, which is a lot of damage. As you can see, my tooltip here shows 1.3 million damage on Ice Spear of Splitting. POB I think shows 3 point something million, taking into account extra stuff. So that's a really nice thing to have. This build already runs T17s, 8 mods, Ubers, all of that with no problem. So the build is pretty strong right now, and there's still many things that we can upgrade. As I mentioned, those jewels are gonna bump my energy shield by a lot. So there's still many things. I still have to get a helical ring, and eventually I'm gonna swap into either a Great Wolf talisman for my amulet or a 3 rat. So there's many things still, many upgrades, many changes that you have to make. But for now, this is everything I've changed. This is everything I've upgraded. If you want to be updated with the rest of the progress of this build, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you get the notifications every time I drop an update for this, so you don't miss on anything. That's all for this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.
Approach, challenger.
Dead by